Most accounting professionals would willingly say, I don't like that. I don't like doing it. It doesn't feel like it meshes well with my personality type. But then you go, but I need to be able to do it. I need to be able to do it to be able to grow my firm, to be able to lead the lifestyle that I want, to be able to have the comfort of the quality of life that I want. I need to be able to get good at it. I don't disagree with that. I think it's very hard to train or coach or be able to outsource or delegate something that you don't have some degree of confidence or certainty in. And so that's where this comes into play, right? This is where the C4 sales script, join Igniter if you haven't yet. But the idea here is like, we want to, if we are going to say, hey, I'm going to hire and train a salesperson, we want to make sure that when we bring them on board, a couple of elements are in place. One, that you are already successful at converting prospects into buyers. Because here's the thing. When you get ready to make this decision of saying, you know what, I am at a point in my firm where I'm willing to delegate this critical function to someone who exclusively does sales, they're going to get essentially all the leads now. And so what I want to be clear is that I know a lot of people want to maybe jump to sales, right? Where are the clients, right? A lot of people ask me, Tyler, where are the clients? I say, no. We got to come one step back. Where are the leads? And so until you have a lead gen system, something that works well, that you are at a point where you literally are turning leads away, either because you're too busy fulfilling or you have too many sales opportunities, that should be like a klaxon 5-level alarm bell going off in your head. Like, I need help. I have more opportunity than I can possibly serve right now. I can guarantee most people listening to this right now are not in that place. And you may be wondering, but how could you get to a place where you have more opportunity than you could fulfill on, right? Doesn't that sound like a great place to be? It starts with Igniter, then it goes to the Create Your Dream Firm program. That's what we do. We help you to systemize your lead generation efforts so that it gets to a point where you no longer have the time to do selling, and eventually it makes sense to hire and train a salesperson to do that on your behalf. It's the only way to scale efficiently. So what I'd ask you to remember before we get into who to hire, what traits to look for, what to pay them, the defining factor is, when should you even be considering this decision? When should you even be thinking about it? Well, you should be thinking about it and getting ready to do it when certain things are in place. Well-defined lead gen that works, and you are literally missing out on opportunity to bring on good clients because you're so busy with other elements inside of your firm. Now, the only other flip side of that coin is that you might say to me, but Tyler, delegation and leverage is so critical. Why couldn't I do that out of the gates? And you could. You could have a salesperson come out of the gates and be able to help you immediately. That's effectively what my father's, some of his most successful clients did. They said, you know what? I want to be able to just grow fast, right? I lost my big corporate job, my six-figure plus income. I have to replace that quickly. Or maybe you're sitting there saying, well, I want to be able to grow quickly and I want to be able to keep my corporate job, or I want to be able to just not have to do sales. There has to be a middle ground that allows me to do that before I have this perfect lead gen system and I'm losing opportunity. It's a very fair point. And yes, it's possible, but it comes back to two things, okay? Budget and having the right person. So these are the two main questions related to sales in general, right? What is that person going to cost to be able to bring them on board and do their job effectively? If you have a great salesperson, their cost becomes negligible. They'll be the most valued person in your firm because they're bringing home the bacon every day. That's their only job. They're bringing home the bacon every single day. And so at a certain point, and you no longer think of a salesperson as in cost, you think of them as you must make the investment. Like, it's the only way for you to grow. So it is possible to do this. And when I said, okay, well, budget, right? Budget. Got to get the right person, but we also got to make sure we have the budget in place. Well, the budget is an interesting thing because my father has an old saying that I love: pay peanuts, you'll hire monkeys. Okay. So you might say, well, I'll hire a commission only sales rep, right? You get paid on what you bring in. So some people are willing to accept that. Not the best salespeople, not even very good salespeople. Usually people who need to prove that they're capable of even doing sales to themselves, they're going to accept those types of positions. Okay. Maybe you're willing to consider this. However, my counter argument to this, and I will provide what the framework is for a commission only sales rep in just a minute here. But my humble request is that time is your most precious resource. And when you hire and train the wrong person with what I believe is the wrong set of incentives, you end up wasting a lot of time, and your firm's brand and reputation is going out there being represented by somebody who has a lot of desperation, right? If you're telling me I have no income at all, except what I sell, do you think I'm putting on the squeeze? Do you think I'm going out there being as honest and with integrity as you would expect of someone that you did have a base salary associated with them? I don't know. I would be very careful hiring commission-only sales reps for accounting firms. I've seen people try it, and the success rate is not very good. And the damage or the potential risk associated with it, I think is, I'll just say it, the juice is not worth the squeeze, in my opinion. So be very careful about that particular decision. However, if you were to go through and go down that route, okay, well, how do we help ensure that they have enough skin in the game to be able to want to do the job, right? Salespeople are motivated by what? Typically, they're motivated by money. Therefore, there has to be a nice compensation to offset the fact that there's no base salary, right? So if you're telling me commission only, all right, and let's say you're targeting $1,000 per month accounting clients, okay? So they're worth 12 grand a year, and this is just a rough example. So if you're telling me they're worth 12 grand a year, I would want you to know what your profit margins are. So you say, okay, well, normally most accounting firms are going to hover somewhere between 20 to 30, 35% profit margins, okay? It's assuming that they're not paying a commission-only sales rep. Now, since this is a recurring agreement, if you are attempting to attract talent, you are not going to be paying them one-time commissions on clients that are worth $12,000 every year moving forward with fee increases. Like, I'm just telling you that right now. Don't waste your time. Don't waste their time. Don't waste anybody else's time thinking that you're going to hire reps that are going to be able to support you and your business and think you're going to pay them a one-time commission on a business that is going to have recurring multiples on top of it. It's not going to happen. So I'd say that the safe place is right around 15% each month. They're getting paid that. Now you might say, what? 15%? That's crazy. That's crazy, Tyler. And I'd say, well, do the odds that that person converts into a paying client, are they higher when you have a dedicated sales rep than when you are doing it? If the answer is yes, okay, that's revenue that you wouldn't normally have, and you still have a 15% margin on top of it. Second of all, when it comes to everyone talks about referrals, right? The importance of referrals, very important. Don't get me wrong. One of the most important marketing systems you can have to generate leads is something consistently related to generating referrals. But it can be time consuming. If you have a sales rep who's generating new relationships and then converting those relationships into paying clients, and then is having touch points with those clients to be able to then tap into their networks and have more opportunities and more sales opportunities, well, my father had this recurring commission, and his was not 15%. I want to be clear. I'm going to go to when someone has a base salary in a moment, but from a commission only standpoint, it has to be more lucrative in order for anyone to want to say yes to it. Just making it clear. Okay. You can choose to go against this, but you are already limiting your talent pool significantly. So there has to be a significant reward to justify someone willing to take a chance on you and your firm and being able to help you in a sales capacity. Okay. I was about to bring something up. What was it? 15%. Can't remember. It'll come up. So we've got an understanding that, okay, well, we want to be able to have a sales rep. We can potentially have commission only, but what is maybe the alternative? What is the way in which we can have them compensated fairly, get a better talent pool, and not have the level of desperation that comes along with commission only, but also make sure that we have that reward, right? That commission that a salesperson really appreciates. So I'm going to walk you through the typical way that a new client's incorporated sales representative's commission package would work. So when they would hire and train, and they've done this for, I don't even know how many hundreds or thousands of accounting firms, but a lot, with a lot of success, they would have this as a compensation package. Okay. Anywhere between $500 to $700 a week is the base salary. Now, I would argue it might even be a little higher than that now. This is not including any type of benefits that would be considered. So you have to make sure that you recognize that what they're comparing themselves against, you are getting compared against in the market. Well, they're saying, well, there's, where's the healthcare? Where's the dental? Where are all these things? It's typically not going to be as offered by small firms, right? I mean, I don't think I need to say like that's outside the bounds of consideration for most of you right now, but it can be inside the bounds when you have an effective sales department. That being said, the reason I said 500 to 700 is it depends, right? And it might even be a little bit higher. If you're in New York and LA and you're trying to attract sales talent, I mean, those are super high cost of living areas. So you better be ready to potentially spend maybe $800 a week. Now you're already doing the math, right? You're saying, well, $500 a week, that's $2,000 a month. Or you're saying, well, $800 a week if I'm in New York or LA, 800 times, I mean, that's $3,200 a month. You're right. Gets expensive pretty quick, but it's an investment. And the key to making sure that it's an investment is getting a return. And so when we think about the return on the salesperson, and again, this is just the base salary, we want to get into what they should be bringing in on a weekly basis, in my opinion. Okay. A good sales rep should be bringing in average of 2 clients, an average, not every single week, 2 clients are coming through the door. They have to build a pipeline, but they should be in a position to be able to generate an average of 2 new clients per week, I'd say about 8 weeks into the position. Okay, so if you come into this and you're getting ready to use the base salary compensation plan, you should be expecting to have at least 60 days of capital to be able to just cover base before you really start to see things turning. Now, I expect a sales rep to come in and start setting things on fire right out of the gate. I'm going to give you some questions to help gauge the person and hire them right. But the idea, again, is like I want to set the expectations on the compensation side first so that you even know, well, should I consider this? When would it be appropriate for me to consider this? How much of an investment do I need to be prepared to make to justify this? Okay, but I was just talking base salary. However, let's talk about commissions, okay? Now, the way that NCI reps are trained and the way that I would expect any of your sales reps to be trained is that they're essentially selling 2 things, okay? They're selling an installation fee of anywhere between $500 to $800. I wonder why. Cover that in a second. Well, or it can be anywhere from, let me back up. It can be anywhere from $250 to $400. Why? I'm expecting them to pick up 2 clients per week on average. Installation fees, if they pick up 2 clients, they cover their base salary. Understand? So if you're paying them $500 a week, your installation fees $250. I haven't explained exactly what that is or what that covers. I'm probably not going to, but just understand that there are a lot of things you do when you start off a relationship, hour-long meeting, review their tax returns, all of those things that you just kind of do should bill for, you should charge for, right? You should have that as a part of your service package. The reason you do that, or your sales rep is trained to do that, is so that they offset their base salary. So it should be, you got a good salesperson, their base salary should be costing you nothing based on the fact that they're bringing on 2 clients, both paying installation fees per week. Okay. Not third. What is the additional compensation, right? I'm a sales rep. I need to get paid. I'm not getting paid on just installation fees and base salary. What is my bonus or my commission structure? There's 2 forms to it, and I believe you should offer both. The first of which is that they should get that one-time bonus. And that one-time bonus is 1x monthly fee. So if you're bringing on $1,000 per month client, just keeping the example the same, they get the bonus of $1,000 right then and there. Okay. So essentially they brought in 1 week, 2 new clients. Let's say we're paying them $500 a week, just keeping that simple. 2 new clients, they're both worth $1,000 a month each. So that's $2,000 per month, $24,000 a year in revenue. Okay. You paid that salesperson their $500 base salary covered by the 2 installation fees of $250 a pop. Okay. So that's totally covered. Their commission, the reason salespeople operate, is $2,000 because they get a commission of $1,000 each on each of those clients. Now you might be going, wait a minute, what's going on here? What happened? They brought in 2 new clients and I just paid them all this money. I just paid them the $500 that came in and I paid them the first month's fees. I'm down $2,500. No. You're up $24,000 a year immediately. So it's just like, I know that we have to think about this a little bit different, because when you make a sale in an accounting firm, your revenue is typically not realized until the relationship has developed and you've been able to have that person for a little while. But the best part about this is you spent no time. You spent no time on the sales process. None. How many hours go into effective selling? A lot. And so you don't have that time. Literally, a client showed up and you have $24,000 a year. 2 clients showed up, you got $24,000 in revenues between the 2 of them. And it cost you $2,500 to get that. It's a pretty good trade. $2,500 for $24,000 a year. It's a pretty good trade. There's one last piece of compensation I want to make you aware of. And if you go back to what I said about the commission only rep, I said, well, we gotta spice it up, right? 15% to be able to justify them having a nice base. Now, they didn't get the 1 month's commission. They didn't get the base salary, but they had the 15% month over month moving forward. You might say that's too high. You can play with it, but it's up to you. The point that I'm making is that I still believe that your sales representative should have some skin in the game. My father referred to these as the golden handcuffs. And what that means is that we want the sales rep to be part of the firm. I want my team's income to grow. I want them to maintain good relationships with the clients that they sold. I don't want them to just get deals and on to the next thing. I do want them to go get new deals, but I also want to make sure that they build relationships. Relationship selling, like that is so key. And it's why the NCI techniques work so well when we hire and train and got the right salesperson in the door. So the reason I bring this up is that, yes, base salary, yes, the one-time bonus, but the golden handcuffs. And the golden handcuffs would be anywhere from 4 to 7.5%. I think it was usually right around 5%. If my memory serves me correct. I believe it was right around 5% of the monthly fee is a residual that comes to the salesperson. Now, I want to be clear. Same thing for the commission-only rep. Same thing for if you had a base salary. If you were to have that person leave your firm for one reason or another, that all comes back to the house, ladies and gentlemen. That is not something that's like in perpetuity so long as they have a heartbeat. No, it's so long as they are employed with your firm. That's why it's called the golden handcuffs, right? If that salesperson gets just resting on their laurels, that residual's got them in that 6-figure income, but they're not bringing in those new clients. They're not making 6 figures of new sales per year. Might be time to go find somebody who's a little hungrier. That happens. It's part of life. It's part of being a sales rep. It's what happens. Some people get comfortable. Other people never do. And we've had sales reps that have made a lot of money and just exploded accounting firms because it is a tough thing to do. It's a tough thing to do well. So I think that now that we have an understanding for compensation, we have an understanding of how to gauge whether or not they're effective, an average of 2 new monthly bookkeeping clients per week. And I give them, I'd say, about 6 to 8 weeks to start to really get their feet under them, get comfortable with the presentation. We want to make sure that we have opportunities ready to go. I don't like just throwing sales reps into cold calling environments. I expect them to be able to do that. We'll cover that in a minute. But the idea here is like, I want to give them the highest opportunity possible to succeed if I'm going to start to invest $2,000 to $5,000 in this individual. And in order to make sure that they have a chance to succeed, I want there to be lead gen in there. And I also want to make sure the compensation package is competitive and ultimately gives them long-term growth inside of the firm. Okay. All right. So let's talk about how to spot red flags, how to really hire a superstar, like what to look for in a superstar. And is there anything else I want to cover on hiring? Red flags, superstar qualities. Let's start with red flags. So, red flags for sales reps. If they come in and they are saying to you essentially, well, I want to be able to do the the marketing, and I'm going to take care of the the lead gen. I'm going to set up the systems. I'm going to be in control of those things, and I'm going to. They're talking about everything other than being a salesperson. Immediate red flag. Like if they come in and they expect to start calling the shots on marketing, no. You're here to do a job. The job is sales. And my job as the owner of the firm is to help generate as many qualified appointments for you as possible. That's your job. That's your responsibility as the owner. And that might be a hard pill to swallow, but it's part of why you're this group. It's part of why you have your firm. You want to control certain things. The most important thing you need to control is lead gen. If you're generating quality leads for yourself, guess what? Now you're just passing them off to someone else. You're saving your time. They have a higher chance to convert. They're dedicated to sales. They'll spend more time talking to people. Imagine if 40 hours of your week was spent exclusively on sales. Just imagine that. How much faster would you grow? Naturally, you would, because it'd be the only thing you do. So a major, major red flag to me is when someone comes in and they start telling you all the things that need to be in place for them to be hired. No, that's not what we're here to do. That's not what we're here to do. Okay. Second major red flag that I notice is that if they have not sold B2B professional services and think it's the same thing as coming from retail. It's just unrealistic. It's unrealistic, okay? Another major thing that I think is important to pay attention to is I just gave an example of 2 new clients a week being worth potentially $25,000 a year, okay? Now, if we bring that out over 4 weeks, that's essentially $100,000 a year in new business for your firm. Most sales reps that are worth their salt have done at least $1 million in sales for a previous company. $1 million in sales. Now, if you ran the math out, 10 months of being able to consistently do the numbers that I just purported to you gets them to $1 million a year sales rep. Now, am I expecting you to be able to have $1 million sales rep that brings in $1 million worth of business for your accounting firm in a single year? No, I'm not. To be straight up, I'm not. If they could do anywhere from $150,000 to $300,000, that is a rock star for an accounting firm. Honestly, it's a rock star for an accounting firm. You should be grateful to have a person who's capable of doing and generating that type of business, especially in year one when they have no network, no contact, learning a lot about the industry. Like that's a fantastic sales rep. Okay. But It has a lot to do with just recognizing that if they come in there and they can't tell you or are proud of a sales accolade, normally one of the major milestones is $1 million in sales previously in a single year. Again, we're looking for superstars. We're looking for superstars. And to me, a red flag is just having no prior sales accolades that they can readily point to. Let me also, this is not quite a red flag, but this is a question that I think more people need to incorporate into their hiring of their sales rep. Okay. Let's say you're down to the final 3 candidates. Okay. And you're getting ready to offer one of them the job. How do you determine who to offer that job to? This is a technique my coach told me, and I love it. I think it's awesome. So, getting ready to potentially hire one of these people. But what you end up saying is you say, you know what? I don't really get the sense that you're a great salesperson. I want to thank you for your time, but I just really don't get the sense that you're that rock star, superstar salesperson that we're looking for. So thanks. Appreciate your time. Now the non-superstar will say, hey, I appreciate it as well. Didn't work out. It's okay. The superstar, what did you just do? You just gave him a little bit of rejection. You just said, no, I don't think this is going to work. Are good salespeople great at handling rejection? Are they fighters in a sense? Are they people who are willing to just say, wait a minute? No, I'm the best. I'm one of the best. I am the best. I am the person you need, right? Like if they hear a no and they immediately turn away, you just saved yourself a whole lot of time and frustration. I promise you. So while that might be hard to do in the moment, it will avoid a lot of poor hiring mistakes in the sales department, because ultimately you want someone who has a little bit of thick skin, but also can hear something from a point of authority, and be willing to say, no, you got that all wrong. Let me come back and re-explain it. That's who you want. Okay. So just be aware of that. That one little question can do quite a bit for you. Okay. Let's see here. Any other major red flags? You should do a criminal background check every time when you get ready to hire someone for sales. They'll be handling sensitive client financial data at times. Can't allow non-integrity people who just don't have, I just say no priors. It's just can't let it happen when you have as much financial data as an accounting firm will. Any other major red flags? It's been a while since I've had to talk about this, but this is such a good topic. Well, the normal things, honestly, lack of eye contact, not having, just not being a salesperson. Like a salesperson should be very clear to you when they come through the door. I would say don't hire people who haven't done sales previously. You are not there to cut their teeth, right? You're not there to be their first attempt at this. So I'd say just make sure that that's a consideration. The next thing is, how do we hire superstars? Now, I gave you one example of how to do that question, and that's a great way to do it. And so what I'd say in terms of superstars is there's a few traits that you should be looking for when you hire a sales rep. I mentioned having sales accolades. Okay, great. But I'm looking for essentially 5 to 7 years minimum sales experience in B2B service professions. Okay, that's like my minimum threshold. If you're up and above that, that's great. I also am looking for full-time, right? I don't want anyone who's got part-time side hustles. I don't want someone who is has the dream of being an entrepreneur soon. I want someone who is essentially a hired gun, right? You're coming in here to do a job. You love doing sales. You love doing only that. I do not want anything else other than that, right? So asking those questions to be able to understand just sort of where they are in their life and what they're looking to accomplish is critical. I also want someone who's hungry from the standpoint that they're used to having at least, I'd say, a $60,000 to $70,000 a year salary. At least. If they have a $100,000 a year salary, it might be harder to get them on board, but how much harder are they going to work to be able to reach that through the compensation plan that we've outlined? It's very possible for your sales rep to be able to make $100,000 in a year, but they have to sell to be able to reach that. And I want people that have that type of motivation. So it's a combination of recognizing their life skills, like what have they done previously? How well does it translate to what you're asking them to do now? Also understanding their life situation in terms of, is sales all they want to do? If the answer is yes, I'm all about it. If the answer is no, I'm not all about that. And then finally, well, what is the quality of life that they're used to having? And if they're used to having a higher degree of quality of life and they need to replace that income quickly, they're going to be pretty hungry and they're going to be pretty motivated to make things happen. Okay. So at this point, we've covered compensation. We've covered hiring from the standpoint of what to look for. But when it comes to like asking and trying to get people to apply, I would say put that job posting everywhere, every which way you can. Social media, job posting boards, on LinkedIn. If you're willing to spend on the newspaper, feel free. The idea is you want a huge pool of applicants. You want as big as a pool as possible to be able to pull upon. So we've covered, again, hiring. We've covered, so when you think about management of a sales rep, when you think about gauging how effective they are, the only reason that you would be disappointed in your sales rep is if you did not properly set the expectations of how they should be selling, what they're selling, what the common objections are, right? This is why I said it's critical for you to at least have the lead gen and have done this successfully to some degree. Now, you of course could just say, hey, here's the best sales script known to the accounting profession. Have at it, Tiger. Okay, but is that really proper training? No, not really. What you'd want to do is you'd want to spend some time doing some role plays, which we're going to do tomorrow. And you want to say, okay, I'm going to give you the example of what I've done. Or you have recorded Zoom calls of your sales scripts and you'll say, hey, look, this is a couple of clients that I converted that were right on the edge, but I did a great job of showing them the value. And I want you to be able to watch these and study them. Okay, now we're going to practice together. Okay, now you're going to memorize this script from front to back, and then I'm going to test you on it. Okay, and now you're going to They're only going to be as good as you train them to be. I expect them to come in with a certain level of aptitude for just sales in general, but they're not going to know the accounting space. And I don't want them to be accountants, but I want them to know what you would have to say to effectively sell accounting services. And the only place they're going to get that information from is you, unless you hire New Clients Incorporated. The only way you're going to get that information is directly from you. So if you expect them to excel, make sure you have your expectations properly set, or else it's not going to work. And you're just going to waste their time. You're going to waste your time, and you're going to just be like, it's never going to work. No, it works, but you have to define your expectations for how it works, from compensation to training, and also what are the milestones. Is a client a week acceptable? Is 2 clients a week acceptable for you? How large are the clients that you're expecting them to bring in? What is it that you're expecting them to do? And then when it comes to management, well, you have to measure their progress. You have to measure what they're doing. Oh, major red flag. I won't do cold calling. Immediately just say, thank you for your time. Have a great day. Just tell them to leave. Don't waste your time. I don't do cold calling. It's like, I don't really, if you don't have warm leads to work, your job is to go and find opportunity. Like, that is your job. Like, that is part of your job description. So I just want to make sure that red flag got in there. But yeah, so if we define their expectations, the compensation plan allows us to find good talent. We train that talent appropriately. We have that talent lined up with meaningful opportunities through online lead generation. Come join Create Your Dream Firm if you're interested in learning how to do that. And the idea is that once you have those things in place, you've got the right person, you'll Whoop, 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 whoop. Imagine 40 hours. Again, imagine 40 hours dedicated to sales. Imagine one person with integrity, trained well, has consistent leads coming to them, but is willing to prospect when necessary. Imagine 40 plus hours per week. Imagine that. How hard is it to get to 2 clients a week if you're good at sales, have the right compensation, the right training, and a decent lead gen system to back you up? It's really not that hard. I'd argue it's pretty easy as someone who's done it successfully previously and was responsible for the lead gen, right? I had to do all of those things. So I'd say, look, guys, I hope you've enjoyed our block party for today. I imagine there will be a flurry of questions down below. I did my best to cover like what I think are the main areas: compensation, hiring, training, even managing, right? Understanding the expectations of saying, hey, you've been doing this for 4 weeks. How do you gauge whether or not you should give them the next 4 weeks of leeway, right? Well, how many new appointments did they set through their own efforts? How many clients did they bring in? 1 client? No clients in 4 weeks? No clients in 4 weeks, especially if you had leads coming in and you were bringing on at least 1 client every 2 weeks. Is it a training problem, or are they just not the right person? Do they not truly believe the value that an accounting firm has to offer? If they don't have that belief, if they don't believe in you and your firm, you've lost. So inspiring or instilling that belief in your services, it's mission critical, right? Again, that's the expectations. Do you believe that the right accounting firm can dramatically impact or alter the course of the business for the better? Well, I'm not so sure. Well, yeah, of course. Absolutely. That's the answer you want, right? Well, why do you believe that? What is your direct connection to accounting previously? They may not have one. You need to then provide them the stories that give them the belief. Let me tell you about one of our top clients, and how when they started working with us, they went from to. Oh, wow, right? Are they taking notes? Are they taking notes and saying, oh, that's a great, right? How engaged are they in wanting to do well with this? You can tell that from the interview. You can tell it immediately. Are they too good? Then they're not good enough. Are they hungry? If they're hungry, they've got motivation, they've got training, they've got belief, you'll have a killer sales rep. And that sales rep will take your business from just being a business that happens to be okay to being incredibly profitable very fast, and make sure they know how to do pricing. A lot of people, and we're going to talk about this tomorrow on our role play, give me a hashtag block party. A lot of people don't know how to do pricing properly or how to bring up pricing at all. Your sales rep is going to be more comfortable with it, but they have to be able to quote accurately and profitably. So when they bring on new clients, we want to make sure we review the fees and make sure they're in line with what we would have quoted. And if not, why would you have quoted them differently? Where went wrong? Where did it go wrong? That comes back to your training and your expectations. And it gets better over time. They're not going to be perfect out of the gate. But if you have weekly meetings, sales meetings, discuss opportunities, discuss new sales, increase their training, they'll get better over time. And you'll have literally a 6-figure a year paying them salesperson. But if you're paying them 6 figures, they're bringing in a heck of a lot more business than that. I can promise you that.